Alrighty, guys. Good afternoon to you all here. Happy Sunday, April 27th, 2025. And this is actually a very special day, guys, in terms of severe weather here. We've got the 14th anniversary today of the 2011 super outbreak in the deep south here across the majority of the United States. If you guys were alive or at least remember that in that time frame here, so about 14 years ago, we had one of the worst tornado outbreaks in history today. The April 27, 2011 event caused multiple EF4 and EF5 tornadoes. Like I said, just horrific what happened that day. We've also got the anniversary today of the Nebraska tornadoes that happened last year, the Greenfield tornado last year as well. So just a lot of anniversary days today in terms of severe weather potential. And we are actually going to have the threat for severe weather today on top of that, and the threat for a significant tornado outbreak tomorrow. I will say, guys, as of yesterday's video, I was posting about the threat for a significant tornado outbreak. I want to let you guys know there's been a little bit of a downtrend that happens. It's just the weather happens. It's going to happen. I tell you guys that all the time. We're going to go over some different scenarios today. The next 48 hours of weather, guys, is very complex. From, you can ask any meteorologist, any storm chaser, any weather enthusiast that does what I do, or does, full time on a news station, and they're going to tell you the same thing. It's a very complex setup the next 2 days. It's making my brain go crazy in terms of trying to find an idea of what's going to happen today and what's going to happen tomorrow. It's really going to be coming down to just watching radar and seeing what's going to happen. So what I'm going to advise you guys do as you're watching this video is, if you are in risk zones today and tomorrow, especially, really in general, anytime you're in a risk zone, especially though today and tomorrow, you need to have alerts on your phones. I also want to mention something as well. There's a couple states, I think Indiana and Omaha, Nebraska, and somewhere in and around Nebraska and Iowa, the National Weather Service had sent out alerts to people saying that radios are going to be down. So if you have a NOAA weather radio and you rely on that for alerts, you need to have another way to get alerts on your phones, whether that's an app on your phone. There's emergency Red Cross apps you can get on your phone, emergency alerts apps for you can get on your phones for free. You need to have a way to get those secondary alerts on your phone, because some of those resources that we typically would have for the next 2 days aren't going to be available, and that's just due to maintenance work. It's horrible timing. I think it's crazy. There's some people that think that there's stuff going on and there's not. No, it's just a normal maintenance thing. So just wanted to get that out there to you guys before we start discussing things. We'll go ahead and dive into the weather here, but I want you guys to be weather aware. This is just going to be a really interesting next 48 hours. Basically what we've got here, we've got a ceiling and we have a floor, okay? Or a high ceiling and we have a floor event here. So today and tomorrow, we've got the threat for what could be a significant, severe weather outbreak, potentially some strong tornadoes, some intense tornadoes between today and tomorrow, some large hail, some damaging winds. But here's how the scenario works today. We are going to be working off a dry line setup and a cold front setup. And both of those are really hard for models to sometimes grasp, especially when you have such a synoptic forcing event like this. And I've talked about this for the last couple of days about leading up to this event, of how we're going to have high tornado parameters, dew points. All of that is still in place. Everything is on the table for a very significant event today and tomorrow. It's just, is it going to happen? Is it going to unfold? Are we going to have everything come together at time? Hopefully not. There are a lot of model disagreements. There's really only 2 model runs that are actually showing scenarios for severe potential for today and for tomorrow. So we're really walking, like I said, into today and into tomorrow in the dark and knowing what's going to happen with these setups. Typically, we rely on these simulated radar forecasts to show us where storms are going to fire off at, where the highest threat is. We're not getting that, guys. So I want you guys to understand this is just a very hard forecast today and tomorrow to nail in terms of where storms are going to fire off. So once again, if you're in risk zones 1 to 5, whether it's a marginal all the way up to a moderate risk today, or even if a high risk ever does get issued, hopefully it doesn't, but if it does, I need you guys to be weather aware, have alerts on your phones, be ready to go when you get severe weather. We are going to be live covering this afternoon. We're going to be live covering all day tomorrow. We're going to be live on Tuesday. We're going to be live on Wednesday, and we're going to be live on Thursday. So you guys will have me for coverage in both here on YouTube and on TikTok. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this, guys. I just wanted to get that information out to you guys so you know what's going on and why this is such a complex forecast. If you guys can see on your screen here, we've got our risk zone that is out for today. We do have a slight and marginal risk. This is a pretty big area today, but I want you guys to check the left side of your screen. This is our trough. You would think that this looks like an inland hurricane or a tropical storm. No, this is our low pressure system that is developing. It is starting to deepen. It's going to continue to deepen as it moves closer to the Rockies, to the Wyoming, Colorado line. And as that low deepens, moisture gets pulled, instability gets pulled. You're going to have all of this being pulled here out of the Gulf, and that's going to move towards where that low pressure is going to be moving in at, and that's going to be up toward the Midwest, the plains later on this afternoon and through the overnight hours and for tomorrow. So as that low deepens, we're going to see that moisture return, we're going to see that instability, and you're going to get what's called a dry line setup. A dry line setup is basically when you have warm, moist air on one side of the dry line, you have very dry air and very calm air on the left side of the dry line. When you get those two that mix, you're going to get what's called a elevated mixed layer, and you're going to see the threat for severe weather. You're going to get it every single time. There's going to be shear instability. Tornado parameters are going to be maxed out today and tomorrow. So like I said, it's a very complicated forecast. So I'm going to go ahead and break down this forecast for you guys. We're going to head over to the Storm Prediction Center here, and we're going to go ahead and go off of what they got here. I need you guys to listen in depth here very closely. Once again, today is a conditional risk zone. We may see no storms fire off today at all. We may see a bunch of storms fire off. We may see a couple storms fire off. Any storm that fires off in this risk zone today will have the potential to produce a tornado, maybe even a strong tornado, some very, very large hail up to 2+ inches in diameter, and some significant winds. So we could see that all on the table today. We could see nothing. We could see something. We could see a regional outbreak today. That's basically what we're looking at. So it's basically now we are in radar watch. So there will probably be watches that get issued throughout the risk zone today, especially from South and North Dakota all the way down here to Texas. But there is a level 2 risk zone out here for basically Fort Stockton, Texas, all the way through Amarillo into Garden City, Kansas, up through McCook, Nebraska, Valentine, Nebraska, and then all the way up here into eastern Montana. So pretty wonky risk zone today. They're level 2 risk in the yellow, level 1 risk in the green. We don't have an enhanced risk or anything. I don't think that'll be issued, at least as of right now. If confidence grows in the next 2 hours before the next SVC update, they might do something, but I don't think they will. We do have a small 2% tornado risk back up here in the portions of eastern Montana and western portions of North Dakota, and then a 2 and a 5% tornado risk along the dry line here. As I mentioned, any storms that can fire off here will have the threat for a tornado or maybe even a strong tornado, some damaging winds, and some large hail. Wind threat at 15 and 5% there in both of those areas there. If you're in a highlighted area, winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then we do have a hatched hail threat and a non-hatched hail threat. If you're in this hatched hail threat here, hail could exceed up to 2 inches in diameter. Outside of that, there in the 15 and the 5%, we could see hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So that's what we're looking at for today. And I'll get over to the setup here for today and tomorrow in just a second. I want to go ahead and briefly talk about our risk zones for tomorrow here. We do have a level 4 out of 5 moderate risk still. And if you guys were watching yesterday's video, we had that moderate risk that actually extended down here to Des Moines. It got smaller, and that's due to the confidence level here. These risk zones are driven off of confidence levels in storm initiation and in parameter spaces. And so basically what's happening as of right now is we're just not that confident in terms of that southern portion there into Iowa where storms could initiate that. We know that the storms are going to be possible to initiate, but are they going to initiate? We don't know. Models are just not giving us a great enough signal. So hopefully over the next couple of hours before tomorrow, we can get a better setup for this here. But I want you guys to understand, southeastern and central Minnesota, including Minneapolis, La Crosse, Wisconsin, western Wisconsin, northern portions of Iowa, this is where we have the threat, that moderate risk zone right in here for the threat for long track, violent tornadoes, potentially intense tornadoes. We could get EF3 plus tornadoes in that moderate risk zone tomorrow. And this is a moderate driven tornado risk. So the highest threat for tomorrow is tornadoes, long track, strong tornadoes. Outside of that moderate risk zone, we have an enhanced risk from Duluth, Minnesota, back down towards Sioux Falls, down towards Omaha, Lincoln. You guys are like, we just had this a year ago. We're going to do this again. Yes, you are in a threat for a strong tornado or two tomorrow. Lincoln, Nebraska, just outside of that. Des Moines, you're still in that regardless of being in the moderate or the enhanced. This goes all the way up to Green Bay and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You guys have a threat for long track, strong tornadoes tomorrow. So, if you're in that enhanced or moderate area, especially, the threat for strong tornadoes tomorrow are definitely going to be on the table. The threat for large hail up to 2+ inches in diameter, as well as damaging winds 60 to 70 miles per hour will also be on the table. Now, outside of that enhanced and moderate risk zone, we do have a level 2 slight risk that goes all the way down here to Texas, back up through Oklahoma City and into portions of Kansas City metro area, back down here into eastern Illinois, and even as far as western UP, Michigan, and western Michigan. Outside of that, it goes east there, or it goes west there into portions of Nebraska and South Dakota and North Dakota. And then outside of that, we have a level 1 marginal risk. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to have a capping inversion. There will be a capping inversion. That's a temperature inversion aloft in the atmosphere that's going to allow for storms to basically fire off or not fire off. And so based off of where all of our stuff is coming together at is where we're going to have to watch at. Like I said, so we're going to have to watch every single area in these risk zones tomorrow. We could even see a potential for some large to significant large hail, maybe even a couple of strong tornadoes, even as far down south as Oklahoma and Texas if storms fire off and become surface-based. We're higher, more confident on those areas up toward that moderate risk zone. So the tornado threat tomorrow, 15% hatch, 10% hatch there for the threat for strong, violent tornadoes. Even, like I said, intense to violent tornadoes possible in those areas. So if we get 1 or 2 discrete supercells that fire off in this area, there will be the threat for significant damage with those tornadoes there. And a lot of populated cities there, including Minneapolis, Minnesota, La Crosse, Green Bay, Sioux Falls, Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Norfolk there just outside of that. So 5% and 2% tornado risk all the way down to Wichita, Kansas City, and into Oklahoma City, and then down towards Lubbock and Midland. Wind threat tomorrow, 30, 15, and 5. All areas have a chance of seeing winds up to 70 miles per hour, and then the hail threat is hatched in that red hatched region, and then the 15 hatched region, we could see hail 2 to 3 inches in diameter. Outside of the hatched region, we have a 30, a 15, and a 5 for hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So that's going to be for today and tomorrow. This is being considered a regional severe weather outbreak. They did take the tornado outbreak wording off of there, so I wanted to clarify that we still could see a regional tornado outbreak if storms do initiate tomorrow in this. It's all going to be if supercells can fire off in front of the worm sector there. It's just going to be a mixed bag of tricks and different modes for tomorrow, so we're going to have to really, really watch this very, very closely. We also have a risk zone on Tuesday here, a huge slight risk that basically goes from New York, the Canada line, all the way through Detroit and back down here into Texas and Oklahoma. The main threat for tomorrow is going to be damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of isolated tornadoes. The parameters tomorrow for tornadoes are going to be a little bit more concentrated up here toward the northeast. So Ohio, portions of New York and Pennsylvania, we may have to watch for an elevated threat tomorrow. We'll have to see if the Storm Protection Center upgrades to a level 3 enhanced risk. We will be live covering this as well. But regardless of that, all hazards will be possible across the risk zones tomorrow. We'll have those hazards updated tonight at midnight for you guys once SPC releases that. We do have a small hatched region down here for Lubbock, Midland, and Abilene, Texas, and Wichita Falls. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. And then if you think we're done with severe weather after that, we've got another day here on day 4, Dallas, Abilene, Waco, and Wichita Falls, a level 2 out of 5 slight risk for Wednesday, as we have another trough that'll be coming through. And then we go into Thursday, and we don't have anything still yet for Thursday's risk. I do think still a marginal or a slight risk will be on the table for the lower Ohio Valley, the Arklatex, and into the northern portions of the southeast here on Thursday. So that's what we've got here. I'm going to talk briefly about the radar here. We're going to talk more about this on stream, but I want you guys to see this because you're like, all right, we're in a risk zone today. Where are the storms at? As I mentioned, today's conditional, so storms may fire, storms may not fire. The reason the risk zone is there because the potential for storms to fire is off there. It's a conditional risk zone. So here's our latest Triple HR model run. We're going to see those storms potentially initiate anywhere between 3 and about 10 p.m. tonight. You can see storms make an attempt to. We got higher chance of seeing those storms up towards where our low pressure, our triple point is going to be at, up towards northern Nebraska and South Dakota there. So a couple storms may fire off up there. Those could become surface-based, could become tornadic, could become large hail damaging winds. But you're like, where are the storms at? We got one that tries down here in Texas, but other than that, capped out environment here. We're going to have to wait and see if storms initiate with this environment today or not. Like I said, it's a boomer bust day is what storm chasers like to call it. I agree with that 100%. Just a day that we have to watch. We have to watch in terms of mesoscale features and all of that. So we'll be watching that between now and tonight. And then we get into tomorrow. And I want you guys to see this as well because there's really 2 scenarios for tomorrow. The Triple HR model, one of our best long range, or not long range, but one of our best short range models that typically gives us a good idea of what's going to happen. Really not doing that. Like I said, we've got this big warm sector tomorrow. The tornado potential is there. Like I mentioned, we'll have a threat for a couple supercells that try to get going tomorrow, and then maybe a squall line attached to this. But you're like, I'm in a risk zone in Iowa. I'm in a risk zone down here in Illinois and in Missouri. Where are my storms at? Capped out environment. Models just are struggling to handle this environment. So it's not saying you're not going to get storms. It's saying we don't know if you're going to get storms, but the potential is there. Once again, conditional risk zone at play. I think we will get storms and maybe a couple supercells that fire off in this. Here's another model run that kind of shows a higher end scenario for tomorrow. Definitely something that could be on the table. This is a more bullish model, but just we got to have something to look at potentially here. And so this is the HWARF FV3 model run here. Gives us an idea potentially of a higher end scenario with tomorrow. You can see supercells firing off, and here we go. Minnesota, Wisconsin, potentially a couple of long track violent tornadoes maybe getting going tomorrow. Like I said, the environment tomorrow is very, very volatile. Today and tomorrow, volatile atmospheric setup, so we just don't know what's going to happen with this. It's going to be a wait and see game on each day of when we get to the morning of events. So that's what we're looking at. I want to show you guys the tornado parameters that we have in place because these tornado parameters between today and tomorrow are going to skyrocket here. These tornado parameters here on the HER model run for tomorrow afternoon for Monday, I mean, we are maxed out, guys. They don't go higher than this. So if a storm can initiate and become surface-based here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, down through Iowa, Missouri, and into eastern Kansas, the threat for a long, strong tornado is definitely on the table. And that's what I'm trying to get at, is this the importance of this event for today and tomorrow. So like I said, high-end ceiling, regional tornado outbreak, severe weather outbreak happens. Middle floor, we get a couple tornadoes, some damaging winds, some hail. That's the middle. And then you get to the lowest floor and nothing other than a gust of wind, maybe some general thunderstorms. So that's, like I said, 1, 2, 3, we have to wait and see what happens at this point in time. So, like I said, that's going to be the forecast for today. I was going to give you guys an idea of the tornado parameters for today as well. You can see, once again, Oklahoma, Kansas, if any storms can become surface-based and initiate in today's environment, the threat for tornadoes will be there. Wind and hail will also be there as well. So, I need you guys to just bear with me on this forecast. It's going to be a hard one to kind of nail here, but if you're in risk zones, please be weather aware. I'm not going to talk in depth on Wednesday and Thursday yet and Tuesday yet, just because we're still a little far out. I want to get through today and tomorrow first because they allow for those next couple of days out to be what they're going to be depending on what happens prior days before. So we are going to be live probably around 4 p.m. Central Time. That's what I'm aiming for today. Tomorrow's live stream is more than likely going to start around noon. I'll have a video out for you guys early tomorrow morning to get that out to you guys super early. I wanted to wait for model runs and stuff to get updated today before I release this video to you guys. But other than that, guys, now is the time to get prepared. If you're not, be weather aware. This is not something you want to mess around with, whether you get storms or not. Be grateful if you don't get storms, because somebody is not going to get lucky tomorrow potentially, and they're going to end up seeing something, which is the concern concern for tomorrow. So now's the time to get ready. Be weather aware, guys. Be stocked up on supplies if you're not. Have alerts on your phones. Remember, NOAA weather radios in some areas may not be working today and tomorrow and through next Tuesday. So just have a way to get a secondary source of alerts. So I'll be live this afternoon, guys, and tomorrow. We'll see you guys in the stream. Also, if you guys, as always, if you have any questions, comments, you guys can message me. I'll leave my DMs open for a little bit. If you guys want to message me, you can. I'll try to get back to some of those. I'll try to get back to some of those comments. But other than that, guys, be prepared, be weather aware. My thoughts and my prayers go out to everybody in advance of this event, and we'll see you guys here in the next one.